Hey, 4C people, remember me? If not, it's a little awkward, but it's okay. But if you really don't remember me, or you never knew me, I'm Mr. Isimbabi. I was a middle school history teacher at 4C a few years ago, and I might have subbed for your class once or twice last school year, or the year before that. I'll be talking a little bit today for you guys' chapel, so grab your Bibles, and I promise not to talk for too long. I might be old, but I'm young enough to know that you don't want to hear me talk for forever. Let me start though by telling you a little bit about myself. First off, I love sports. Like I really love them. My favorite's volleyball, and basketball is a close second. And once it's safe, I'd be happy to come visit 4C and destroy you guys in any sport that you choose. I also like to trash talk just a little and mess with people in case you couldn't already tell. Most of the middle schoolers know that already. And for those of you that were at 4C a couple years ago, you might remember Miss Gloria Chan. If you do, we got married last year. And both of us are super into anime. I could talk about it for hours. I'm even wearing my Dragon Ball Z shirt. Anyway, I promise to keep it short. So let me get into what I'm actually here to talk about with you guys, which is something you've probably already heard of, and that is the Golden Rule. Now, if you guys have your Bibles ready, please open up to Matthew 7:12, and I can wait a minute for you to get there. Now, I'm using the NIV version, so if you're there, go ahead and read along with me. So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. And so the real question is, what does this mean? In simple terms, it means treat others how you want to be treated. And in my belief, that should be firstly with respect, with kindness, with compassion, and with patience. Every person's truly made in God's image and should be treated as such, so we should practice that golden rule. So I'll make a quick example, and I'm going to use silly names, but it is what it is. Let's pretend we know a kid named Billy Bob. Billy Bob's in middle school. He's a pretty normal kid, but he's quiet and doesn't really stand out. He has a normal haircut. He has on black and gray Ultra Boost just like everyone else. Miss Maine has to remind him every day after recess to take off his hood. Just another normal kid. But let's say Billy Bob is tired of being that normal kid and wants to stand out a little bit more. He remembers that the popular kid at school, Chad, has a cool haircut. So he gets the haircut that Chad has and goes to school the next day. The other kids at school now have a choice. They can either point out that Billy Bob obviously copied Chad's haircut, which will definitely make him feel a little bad about it, even if it's true. Or they could put themselves in Billy Bob's shoes and think about how he would want people to respond to his new haircut, even though it's the same as Chad's. All they have to do is say something nice, like, "Nice haircut, Billy Bob," and that'll make him feel a little more special or a little better about himself. It's usually what anyone who gets a new haircut wants to hear, and it took almost no effort from the other kids. That's what the Golden Rule is about. Now, I know it's not that simple. Sometimes what people think is, I'm actually going to wait to see how others treat me before I decide how to treat them, but that isn't what the verse says. Just because others don't follow the rule doesn't mean you have an excuse not to follow it. What if just because a few people decided to steal, everyone else suddenly decided to steal? It's scary, it's wild to even think about it, and that's not even the worst example I could come up with. Instead, imagine a world where everyone tries to treat everyone else well, with respect. We're not perfect, so we'll make mistakes, of course, but really think about the world where everyone at least tries, and it's already 100 times better than the world we currently live in. And then some of you might be thinking, I'm not just going to let other people walk all over me by being too nice. And you're right, you should absolutely stand up for yourself if someone treats you badly. But there's Jesus' way of doing that, and then there's the wrong way. Now, mind you, Jesus, he used the golden rule pretty much on the daily. And a pretty good example of this is the well-known story of Zacchaeus the tax collector. So I'm going to read that for you. A long time ago, in the town Jericho, there lived a man called Zacchaeus. He was a tax collector, and that is why most of the people did not like him. The tax collectors worked for the Romans and made a lot of money. One day, Jesus was passing through the town of Jericho on his way to Jerusalem. The huge crowd gathered to worship Jesus. Now, Zacchaeus had heard a lot about the prophet and was quite eager to see him. However, the huge crowd that was often with Jesus made it hard to do so. So Zacchaeus decided to climb the tallest tree to get a better view. He could see Jesus from there and knew that he was sent by God. As Jesus was passing by that tree, he saw Zacchaeus sitting on it, and Jesus said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down. Today, I'd like to visit your house." And Zacchaeus was very happy. As he was getting down from the tree and running towards his house, he heard people complaining. They were saying that it was not right for God's son to visit a sinful tax collector. Hearing this, Zacchaeus said to Jesus, "Lord, I will give half of my riches to the poor. I will pay back all those who I have cheated in the past." Pleased by this, Jesus told the grumbling crowd that salvation has come to Zacchaeus finally. From that day, Zacchaeus was a good man, and he distributed half of his riches among all the poor people. So let's take a look at what Jesus did here. Even though he knew that Zacchaeus wasn't the greatest guy and might not treat him well and certainly didn't treat everyone else well, he showed him grace. He didn't necessarily say that everything Zacchaeus has done in the past was okay, because it wasn't. He instead put himself in Zacchaeus' shoes and saw that what Zacchaeus needed was kindness. Then, because of that, Zacchaeus made the decision to give half of everything that he had to the poor and to pay all that back and pay back everything that he had cheated for. And that essentially is what we're looking for in the Golden Rule. It's important to remember, and please remember this, that every single person on the planet has something that they're struggling with, whether you know it or not. And Zacchaeus was no different. Even when someone treats us poorly repeatedly, over and over again, don't immediately think to revenge. Think of what they might need from you to make a change. Now please don't go home and tell your parents, "Mr. Isimbabi said if I go to my bully's house, they'll give me half of my stuff." No. What I'm saying is that Jesus set an example. If he had ignored Zacchaeus or hated him like everyone else did, Zacchaeus wouldn't have given back all that he stole and cheated for. So we have a duty to do the same. We have to follow Jesus' example. And it'll be hard, without a doubt. You will fail sometimes, without a doubt. But you will also make a positive impact in the world and in God's kingdom, without a doubt. The Golden Rule is not easy to practice every day. Nobody uses it perfectly but Jesus himself. But like I said before, we absolutely still have to try. So guys, thanks for listening to me. I miss you all. I hope you and your families are safe and healthy, and I certainly hope to see you guys in person again soon.